Cool. All right. Thank you, guys. If you have questions, please hold them to the end. Then we've got plenty of time to go back and look at things you want to see. But first of all, thanks. Thanks for this opportunity. Good to see, well, a few of you here. And I'm going to share a little bit about me, about why I do what I do, and then about the business side of things. So, as always, I do like to make it not too serious. Bit of humor in there, but let's see. Let's get cracking. So first of all, the agenda. So I'll go through who I am. A bit of background where I was born, a few things I like, family, that kind of stuff, and then I'll go through why do I do what I do now, but also explain what I've done in the past. Then I'll go through the business, how I work alone now, but I also partner with Sales Acceleration, and then who my key referral partners are. So who is me? Well, I always like to show this one because this is one of my favorite pictures of me as a kid. One, because I've got hair, and two, because it's if anybody can guess the car, it's a classic 1970s Morris Marina with a black vinyl roof. I mean, you're talking quality car there. So born and bred in Nottingham, early 70s. Now live in Dronfield, which is just south of Sheffield. Lived here for 13 years. Big Forest fan, still a big Forest fan. Used to have a season ticket for over 14 years. When I moved up here, travel, work, kids, well, kid, I won't say kids, child, just meant I couldn't do it anymore. So not had a season ticket for over 10 years, but still try and go as much as I can. Drag my son down there over the summer. He's actually a Sheffield United fan for his sins. We did the Forest Tour, Stadium Tour. Never done that. It was absolutely fantastic. So really, really loved it. I'm a big golfer, big golf fan. So this is for all you golfers out there. This is St Andrews Old Course. Managed to play that a few years ago, and we hit gold when it came to the weather. So this is about 9 o'clock at night, actually, height of summer, but we got round, and it was just once in a lifetime thing. Married to the lovely Jade, my soulmate. We've been together for 25 years, married for 18 years. This is us at York Races. We go every year. We have a little box with some friends and near the finishing line, and we always go there and make a day of it. And normally we've done well with the weather there as well, so all good. And then we have Johnny, my son, who is 16. This is us last year on holiday. He's just turned 16 in September. He's also a keen golfer, and the bad news is for me as a parent is that he's now the best golfer in the house. So I've got a handicap of 8. He's now got a handicap of 6. He's only been playing 2 years, so I'm hopeful that he gets even better and better and better. We get him to college, sports college, something like that in America, and then he turns pro, and then I can just follow him around the world with him paying for everything. That would be the ultimate goal. And then we've got the cat Luna. We've had several cats, but this is our current cat Luna. And as you can see, this is my desk setup where I'm talking to you from today. And she's my PA, but she's not very helpful. She tends to just sit and play with things and knock everything off the desk or cut me off or start typing or doing things like that. But thankfully, she's not here at this moment in time. She's snuggled up somewhere in the house because it's absolutely disgusting outside. So, why do I do what I do now? So, moving on, it's mainly for these two. So, I was given a book several years ago when I was struggling work-wise with pressure and managing work-life balance. Somebody gave me a book called The Core by Aki Hintsa. It really did change my life. It was one of those books that I was reading everywhere I went, traveling, doing a lot of reading about why I do what I do, and then it sort of focuses on what's the core, what's the key things, and it made me realize that family is at my core. And then when I started to plot, there's a few exercises you do with it, but once you start to plot people, activities, things like that, you realize that work is actually quite far out of the circle. So I made a life conscious change that day about 5 years ago that I wasn't going to continue in the same vein that I've been going, which was full speed, doing whatever work wanted, and pretty much traveling the world. But I did have a fantastic career. I was with the same company for around 25 years. We had 8 different names. We had mergers, acquisitions, sales, you name it. And I've had something like 12 different jobs. But fundamentally, I've worked for the same family, ultimately, a company called Stora Enzo. And Stora is actually the oldest registered company in the world. It's over 800 years old. So this was my life, and what was my life as a VP of sales? Well, it meant that I had responsibility for 20 offices globally. I had a team of 260. I got to see some great things. I met some great people. This is in Atlanta at the baseball. I managed also to get to Canada a few times. My sister was living there at the time, so I was able to. I did quite a bit of work in New York, so I used to nip up to Canada and see my sister. We had an office in Mexico City, so been to Mexico a couple of times. Fantastic place. Sao Paulo, bonkers place, huge. But Brazil, food, people, wine, etc., absolutely brilliant. Stockholm was one of my offices, so I spent a lot of time in Stockholm, did a lot of things in the north, saw the Northern Lights, did the ice hotel, done husky racing, skidooing, you name it. Finland was my head office, the main HQ, so it's not always bleak. They have very, very long summers, very, very long nights. I mean, the first time I was in Stockholm, and I went clubbing. Went in the club, it was light. Came out of the club, it was still light. It was bonkers. I've missed the 1.5 hours of darkness. But this picture shows just how much snow they do get. This is actually the Hilton Hotel at the airport, and this is on one of the roofs by the lifts. And literally overnight, they'd had a meter of snow. So they had a lot of snow. Did a lot of speaking, did a lot of presenting. This was me at the Salesforce European tour. So I was a speaker there because we were implementing Salesforce in the company. I was in charge of that. Dubai, offices in Dubai, been to Dubai a lot. Really, really enjoyed it. Great place, very interesting. Bit false in some respects because everything's so new, but I've been going there for over 20 years, so I've seen that development. Cape Town, finally got to Cape Town. Again, fantastic place. So cheap when you're there, but getting there, staying there is expensive. But I took one of my team members out, his wife. We did a full vineyard tour, food and everything, and the entire bill, 6 courses including wine, cost me £44. So absolutely crazy. Singapore is possibly one of my favorite cities. You got to have the big, massive crabs when you're there. Absolutely beautiful. Shanghai, Tokyo, these are just some of the places that I've been. Sydney, Melbourne, all around Australia. So yeah, it's been good. Oh, India, forgot we had an office in Delhi as well. So good times. Really enjoyed it and saw a lot of things. So quick quiz for you now. From one of my food exploits, we ate this in China. So anybody got any idea what it is? Please come off and guess, because I've eaten a lot of weird stuff in China, but this one particularly for me was actually very nice. But once I found out what it was, I nearly redecorated the restaurant. But anybody got any ideas?
Like a
No?
small squid.
Nope.
No.
Duck's tongue. So what you'll find if anyone's been to China, they eat everything. So I mean everything. So when they get a chicken, they put the whole chicken and they literally get a machete and chop through it. So you've got to pick out the bones. They eat everything. So yeah, nothing goes to waste. So that's a duck's tongue, which was actually quite nice. Right, moving on then. So Why have I now come out of that wonderful corporate champagne life? Well, I got absolutely close to burnout. I started to log a few years ago what I was doing, and I was doing over 200 days a year away. I was 110 plus flights a year, and I was doing on average between 75 and 85 hours a week without some of the travel. So I was properly, full on, and it ruled my life. So I thought I've got to get out. So I decided to get out. It took me over 2.5 years to get out, but I got out, thankfully, and I started my own business November last year. So actually, I celebrated my 1 year registering the business on Tuesday. So as my wife tells me, because she's got 20% of the business, we should be having champagne, but we haven't got the funds for that quite yet. So I started the business last year. I am a sales consultancy business. I am using my experience as a senior sales leader to help businesses. So I can pick up and run a sales team. You can plug and play from a fractional basis. I'm doing quite a bit of advisory work on sales because a lot of SMEs don't fully understand how I can do things as a fractional at the minute. I use and work with Sales Acceleration on their sales management system. I'll explain who they are. And then I'm also a coach and a mentor for sales. So I've got 2 people I'm currently coaching, and then I've been a mentor for 15 years, and I've still got a couple of people I work with outside of the business. Sales Acceleration have been going 14 years. They are a American-based company. They operate fractional people like me, so I work for myself, but I pay them a royalty when I use their certified sales management system. They've got 200. They're up to about 245 now, and we've helped over 6,500 clients, SMEs, primarily in the US, but now Canada. There's 2 of me in the UK. We've got 3 in Australia, so they are expanding. What do I do? How do I help my clients? Well, I basically serve business owners, SMEs, to overcome growth problems by being a partner to help them execute sales. And it is as simple as that. I work with them and I really roll my sleeves up to understand their business and get stuck in. This also means that quite often I talk about different things that are not my area, but once you get the owner's understanding and trust, you're able to help them, and you end up helping them in many, many different ways. And that's why referral partners, networking groups like this is so important. I use the Certified Operating Management System as a base, which is the Sales Acceleration. It's a proven system. They've refined it over the 14 years. It's all digitalized. I've got lots of tools and gizmos and different things that I use day to day. But fundamentally, we work on strategy, infrastructure, which is really documented sales process. How do they work day in, day out? Working with the client at the minute, they think they've got infrastructure. They've just got a giant repository of documents that are out of date, no one uses. So I put things ship shape and put them into something called a sales playbook, which I'll show you in a sec. Sales management, a lot of this is around understanding how you manage salespeople. And I also help recruit, onboard, and compensate salespeople. So putting in proper sales structures and proper sales compensation plans, which a lot of companies don't have. It is proven. 98% of businesses realize an increased revenue post engagement. I'm working one client. I've been with them a month already. We've got an upturn because literally I spotted a revenue stream that they hadn't exploited with their existing client base. So we started making some inquiries, and presto, they started buying. On average, it's 32% after the full engagement in their first full financial year after the engagement. And I say we're up to, I think it's 6,500 now. What does a client engagement look like? Fundamentally, it starts with an inquiry. So I had one last night actually pop in via my LinkedIn page. You can do an assessment. An assessment is 10 questions. You get a score out of 100, and it's just focusing on your sales function. Now, a lot of people say, I don't have a sales function. Every business is in business to sell goods or services or something like that. So we're all selling. You just might not call it selling. You might have another name for it, but fundamentally, everybody's selling. This just puts it into some sort of structure, gives you a score, and then gives you some tips, steps, what to improve. If I then get further engagement before any client engagement, I get them to fill out a more detailed sales agility assessment. This is giving a score out of 400. And here I blanked the names out to keep them protected, obviously, but this is a prospect that didn't turn into anything at the moment, but you can see the variety of scoring. And what it tells me here, it starts to give me a gap analysis. So where it's red is where I need to focus first, and then obviously yellow, green. So it gives me a good guidance and builds what's called my scope of work. For each engagement, I also use, I say, a set of tools. One of them is something called KnowledgeNet. I think maybe Julian, I think I might have shown you this. But KnowledgeNet, this is obviously it's quite small. I can't share it with you too well on here. But this is where I log in, and it connects everything I have in LinkedIn. So, for example, I just picked Colin. So it shows you Colin. It shows how we're connected. It starts to show some of Colin's connections that we have. I can expand this out quite a lot, but it helps me map out. If I'm trying to find somebody, I can see who they're connected to. I can build different paths. It suggests paths that I should follow, who I should contact, and then it helps me build a profile based on your LinkedIn. It also scrapes all your websites where you've worked before, social media, etc., and it can start to build a disc profile, and it can help write introductory emails, things like that. So it's a pretty clever tool, and I know there's several others out there. You can even use ChatGPT to create something, or Gemini, but I use this and I keep it within this platform. And I also build agents for clients. So I actually build personas of pretending I'm working for that client and build my AI assistant. The scope of work I mentioned gives you what I'm going to be doing in the first 30 days, how I'm going to build out. So all very structured, documented, transparent to the client, shows exactly what the deliverables are. An example of a playbook is a digital, what I call it is the sales Bible. So any business should have this for their sales function. It should, because it explains everything about it. It combines things like your marketing strategy, your overall strategy, but it turns it into terminology that salespeople recognize. Currently doing that now, and again, that's been upgraded. We now use something called Moxie, and the speed that we can produce these now is much, much faster. Just giving you some facts and figures just before I finish. Top 10 reasons, and this is again based on data from US bank data. So a lot of it's US based data, but it does resonate very well when I've spoken with UK SMEs. Based on over 2,500 responses, Essex surveys and US bank data, these are the top 10 reasons that business fail. 5 of these are sales related. From those, we just take four categories. So strategy, a lot of companies struggle with sales strategy. So they might have a company strategy, but they can't translate that to a sales strategy. Sales methodology, so how we look at territories, how we look at clients, how we segment, etc. Organization, that is so obvious now when I'm talking with SMEs that salespeople have a reputation, and also they're quite often brought in and just sort of left to their own device. You know, these people need managing. It's like I always say to people, it was like herding cats. You could never ever get them all going in the same direction. It was always tricky. And then analysis. You know, sales is all about numbers. If you don't give them targets and numbers, there's no point. So that's the business. Who are my key referral partners? Well, it's people like you, because people that have access to or trust of the business owners, who hear things, observe things with regards to what's cooking. So anything like this you hear, these are the people I need to talk to. So you are my key referral partners. And the key thing is I offer a free sales agility assessment. I offer a free 45-minute consultation. I have all of that. So, I don't charge anything unless we engage. And if I can't help somebody, I make it clear I can't help them. So that's me. I want to thank you for my little piece there. Apologies if I've gone a little bit over, guys, but yes, that's me. So any questions, Your Honor? Julian, come on, you said you were going to come up with some random questions about the budget or something or some other things. So.
Well, I think brilliant presentation, Russ. What I was going to ask is probably low level, given the strategic level that you've sort of pitched this at, and it's I suppose when we're out and about in terms of speaking to people and forming connections and having those informal discussions, what happens when we get ghosted, when people disappear, more and more, I suppose, in this online world. So I was looking for some free advice on that.
I mean, that's a tricky one, Julian, because an example, the inquiry I got yesterday. So every time someone goes onto my website, I get notified. Every time someone completes the survey, I get notified. And as soon as this one was completed, I recognized the name. So I then nip into another tool, my Fireflies AI note taker, typed in this guy's name, couldn't find anything, but found similar. And then when I start to look back, it's the same person, but they've come from a different email address. And basically, the first one came from the parent company, and now he's the MD of the whole thing. But now he's specifically gone into one of his businesses and filled it out from that email address. And when I tracked it back, he did the inquiry on the 4th of July, and then he ghosted me. And then he's on my newsletter. And then I saw something about his company recently, and I just dropped him a message and his wife, who's now been promoted to CFO, just a message to say, saw this because my knowledge net also can give me updates on news. So it nudges me if it's seen something. So it nudged me, and I just circled back and said, oh, seen this, liked it on LinkedIn, just sent him a little LinkedIn. Excellent. Looks like you're doing this. Great, great, great. Nothing else. Got no message back from him. Then suddenly, bang, he's now done this. So it's like, okay. So we always say stay front of mind. So newsletters, things like that, your posts, and again, make them more personal. Really make sure you're not generic. You're targeting specifics. So run campaigns. I'm just about to embark on a video LinkedIn 10-week the top 10 sales drivers, which I'm having to learn how to use OBS, Canva, all these other bloody tools that at my age is hard work. And I don't like watching myself on video, and I'm having to send them to this guy, and he's saying, yeah, your lighting's this or your voice is this. And it's painful, but I've got to do it because that's how you get through to people. And it's just stay in front of mind, Julian, that it might come in a year's time. It might come in 6 months' time. You just don't know. But
No,
suddenly they'll go, oh, I remember you.
that's really good advice.
Um,
I won't take it personally.
You shouldn't. Absolutely. 100%. How many times do you get cold outreaches and you sort of just ignore them or just say, I'm not interested? So,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of AI generated LinkedIn cold outreaches that you can spot them immediately. As soon as you click and then another message pops in, another message pops in. It's like, pfft. So make it personal, even, throw in the odd mistake so that they know it's a human, or put some humor in it or something relevant that shows that you've paid an interest in that person or something they posted.
Hi, Russell.
Russell,
Yeah, it's Phil here. Yeah, just a quick question. Yeah, thanks very much indeed for the talk there. Any particular sectors that you deal with at all, maybe just give me an idea in terms of the kind of the turnover of the SMEs and the
yeah,
businesses that you deal with?
sure, Phil, yeah. Turnover size million plus. Up to, I mean, I've got a client that's 400 million, but that's completely curveball. That came via my old channels, and that's the sales coaching job for a lady that's been recently promoted. So one to 15 is the sort of sweet spot. Industry agnostic, and my background is manufacturing, pharma, FMCG. None of my clients that I've currently got are in those sectors. So I'm currently in SaaS, two SaaS. What's the other one in? Recycled polymers and things like that. So it's a bit curvebally. Sustainability, solar panels. So no, really industry agnostic. I think the key thing is ultimately sales is sales. It's fundamentally the same. I'm helping somebody that's got a games company. I'm helping somebody else. I've got a call after this with a lady that does. She was on Dragon's Den. She does those curly clothes rails that hang in eaves and funny angles. But her business is sort of stalled, and I was watching her on YouTube last night on the Dragon's Den. So anything, Phil, really. I'm not really techie from a startup perspective, that kind of thing. So really, somebody who's been in business a few years, ideally 3+ years, has a sales function or has a recognized sales responsibility that I can talk to. They're the key ones. Owners that do the sales but want to get rid of it.
Excellent. Great. Thanks, Russell.
Russell,
Yeah.
I don't really know how to ask this question, but you're kind of a fractional sales guy, where there's a kind of a hole in the company's process, so they do need you. But when you look around a room of people and they're really good at what they do, and then they're really rubbish at sales, is that an opportunity for you as well, where
100%. Yeah.
they don't need the sales, but they do need it? Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm talking with a guy that's got a digital marketing agency at the minute, and he's openly said to me he wants to take a step back from the business, but he is sales. And I've said to him, okay, first and foremost, when do you want that? Is it now? Is it in a month? Is it in a year? Because all we do is work backwards. So if you say, he said by the end of next year. So I said, all right, we start there, and then we look at exactly what is it that you do? Who have you got in your organization? What does your organizational structure look like? And is there an immediate successor for those parts you do? Because ultimately, as the owner, you're never going to back away from sales because you are needed as the figurehead, but you don't get involved in the day to day. So it's breaking those. So I gave him a very simple organization chart that I've got from EOS, which is Entrepreneurial Operating System. And I said, look, you're the visionary in the business. In there, it does say that you have some sales responsibility because you are the face and you can talk best about your business because you created your business. You have the passion. But all these other things, which is in the sales and marketing box, that maybe are on your plate today, we've got to systematically get rid of them. And the question is, where do we put them? When do we put them? And who do we trust? And that's where, Dave, I quite often can step straight in because I can pick those things up immediately because I don't need to know your business inside and out. I just need to understand your process, whether you have a good process or not. And if you've got a good process, you can plug and play me basically. So he's now processing that, and he sort of said, I have to do this because it's killing me. So the first thing is, Dave, once they have that passion or they have that ambition or they have that acknowledgement that they have to they need to change, they're the best conversations. I've got one that says he wants to change, but he's nowhere yet. I'm going to push him towards a business coach or even a psychiatrist because he's absolutely all over the place. And I said, I cannot work with you like this because you literally change your mind every second. And I said, running 3 businesses, they're each about $1 million. I said, you're going to kill yourself. You're going to kill your staff. So we're at a bit of an odds end there. But anyway, Dave, did that answer it?